Big data. You might hear the term big data thrown around a lot and not fully understand what is meant by it. In this video, you will be enlightened and learn how big data can help you and your business both now and in the future. Essentially, big data is nothing more than large data sets. These large data sets are increasingly common online, seeing as everything online is easy to measure and document. If you think about a company like Google, it has immense data sets that it works from, describing the search history of billions of users. But even a standard website that gets 1,000 visitors a day will work with huge amounts of information. A website will naturally record each of those visits and will also store data about each one, such as the country of origin and the length of time spent on the site. In a few weeks, this data will likely crash a lot of spreadsheet software. The reason that big data is featured in so many discussions is that it is very difficult to handle. Making sense of such huge amounts of information requires a lot of smart math, while simply storing and handling that kind of data requires a lot of storage and computational power. But the potential value of big data is also absolutely huge. Big data provides patterns and insights that you simply can't get by observing a few users. This is essentially how machine learning works, by looking for patterns in massive data sets. The difference is that this is being leveraged in a slightly different way. Predictive modeling. Predictive modeling is a process that involves data mining and probability to forecast potential future outcomes. A model is created using a number of predictors. Predictors are variables that are thought to influence future results. Once data is collected for these predictors, a statistical model can be created. That might use a simple linear equation, or it might use complex neural networks. Either way, statistical analysis can then be used in order to make predictions about how things are likely to go in the future. With regards to marketing, this can help provide better customer insights, better lead scoring, campaign nurturing, upselling and cross-selling, personalized product recommendations, and more. Amazon is an example of a site that uses big data in order to provide personalized product recommendations. Amazon doesn't just use a database of items grouped together, which would be almost impossible to maintain, but rather generates data automatically from every single transaction and sale, and then looks for patterns. It will see what products tend to be bought together, there's that co-occurrence again, and can therefore use this information to show items that it thinks a user might want to buy next. Likewise, when it comes to lead scoring, big data can be immensely useful. Lead scoring means understanding which leads are likely ready to purchase and which are not. This is immensely useful information for companies that might want to send sales letters to the cross-section of their mailing list that they think will actually buy from them, rather than being put off by the amount of sales material they're receiving. Amnesty International uses segmentation and predictive modeling techniques in order to better identify the right groups to market toward. By collecting data and then looking at what that data reveals about the kinds of people who donate, Amnesty International knows who it should be targeting with its ads, how much they are likely to spend, and how they're likely to do it. Any charity can benefit from this kind of data analysis, as can any business. Collecting big data. If you want to start collecting data for your business, there are a wide number of plugins and tools you can use to do so. You should find that a lot of tools, such as Google Analytics, will allow you to export massive amounts of data in order to work on. You can then choose to use this information yourself or outsource it to a data science organization that can use that information to provide valuable, useful insights. Another good idea to prepare yourself for the future is to allow users to create profiles. By doing this, you can collect much more data on individual users and in future provide better recommendations on an individual basis too. This is something that stores have been doing for decades with loyalty cards. But of course, the digital nature of selling online creates even more potential opportunities. Computer vision. As mentioned, computer vision is the ability for machines and computers to see by learning from huge data sets and machine learning. By observing countless images, a machine can learn to identify images in an object or to navigate an environment without crashing into things. What does this mean for the future of SEO? One big thing, and one thing that you should make sure that you are ready for, is that Google will likely start paying more attention to images on websites. Traditionally, we've been told to avoid using images for things like site names. Why? Because Google can't read an image, and therefore we won't get any SEO benefit from that. But Google does have software that can read text from an image. This is called OCR, Optical Character Recognition. And if you want to see just how good it is, try pointing Google Translate at a foreign language and see it appear in your native tongue in real time. If Google can do this, then it's only a matter of time before it starts reading the text in your images to see if they back up the niche and key phrase that you are targeting with your website. Likewise, seeing as facial recognition is already a big deal when it comes to security and Facebook, it is probably only a matter of time before Google starts using that too. For example, if you write a blog post about Sylvester Stallone, Google might someday look not only at your content, but also at the photos on your page in order to see if there are pictures of Stallone there. Google Images might one day not be reliant on surrounding text at all, but might instead base its results purely on what it sees in the image and whether this lines up with what you're searching for. Issues like image quality are also likely to play a big role in the future. Google might opt not to recommend your web page if it thinks the imagery on there is poorly chosen and out of place. So what can you do to prepare? For now, the closest thing to communicating with Google via images is the use of markup language and/or file names and alt tags. Using alt tags to describe images can help Google to know what they represent, and therefore to better decide if your site is relevant for a particular user. Meanwhile, make sure that all the imagery you are using is relevant and high quality. Advertising. At its core, machine learning is about evolving. It's about getting more and more data to the point that it can make more accurate assertions. While face detection in images might start out poor, the system evolves and learns to the point where it becomes more accurate than a human. Imagine if you could turn that power to advertising. Imagine if you could show precisely right advertisements to precisely the right people at precisely the right times. Imagine if your advertising campaign evolved to get more and more specific, so that an increasingly large number of viewers clicked on the ads and bought your products. The longer the campaign ran, the more your profits would increase and the less you'd spend on ineffectual ads. That is precisely how programmatic advertising works, and you can start using it right now. What is programmatic advertising? Programmatic advertising campaigns allow marketers to buy native ads on a variety of publisher sites while using smart algorithms to ensure that they are targeting the right viewers at the right times, all while remaining within budget thanks to a bidding system that allows them to compete for impressions with other advertisers. In short, these campaigns give the precision and quality of native advertising, like banner ads, while at the same time allowing for the control, adaptability, and precision that you would get with a PPC campaign. The net result is ads appearing on the sites of carefully selected publishers, but only when and if they are likely to yield the best results. Programmatic advertising uses a complex algorithm in order to identify your business's ideal customer and then to figure out where they are likely to appear on the web. It will then show the ads in those places and then utilize a learning algorithm. Instead of going from one publisher to another discussing rates, you allow a bot to do all the work for you. More importantly, though, this means that you won't waste money on an ad slot that no one looks at. Your ads will be chosen and honed by a smart algorithm, and the result will be that they get higher CTRs from the right targeted customers. RTB. This is how programmatic buying is different from other PPC or just buying a banner ad on your favorite news site. Giving you further control, meanwhile, is the option to use RTB or real-time bidding. What RTB essentially means is that you are automatically entering into a bidding war each time a page loads based on your predefined budget. These bidding wars allow your ads to compete with other advertisers around a large selection of different websites that all cater to the specific demographics and context that you have chosen. In other words, you will define that you want to target sports sites catering to an audience of males in their 20s to 40s, and from there your ads will appear across a selection of those websites, which you can still curate in some cases if you wish, based on the outcome of each little bid. This allows you to target your audience across a range of different sites and to avoid paying too much to do so. On the other hand, direct buying is essentially a bulk order of impressions from a specific website or websites such as ESPN. You can still filter your impressions by a range of factors such as location or browser, but essentially you will be targeting a specific site and securing a place on that precise spot. Direct buying is effectively a little more like advertising with a banner ad, while RTB is a little closer to the PPC model. Here you bid for spots across a range of websites, while still having a little more control. Deciding what will work best for you will depend on a number of factors. For instance, your budget is going to come into play as direct buying tends to be more expensive because lower CPIs won't have as many opportunities to appear. It's also worth considering that RTB gives you more flexibility, more data, and more control. You can identify which sites are working best for you, at which times, and for which viewers, and then you can further tailor your approach accordingly. On the other hand, though, If you bid too low using RTB, then you risk your ads not appearing at all. This is in direct contrast to direct buys, which essentially guarantee you your ad spot and that you will eventually be certain to get that number of impressions. This is useful for a company with more concrete goals and a fixed timescale. Likewise, with direct buying, you will be able to more tightly control where your advertising appears and forge a closer relationship between your brand and that of the publisher. So different approaches will work for different marketers and for different purposes. Your job is to decide which works best for you, and the best way to do that may be to dip your toe in and try them out for yourself. How to be more successful with programmatic buying. Programmatic advertising has very quickly risen to prominence in the online marketing industry and is an important new tool for any business that wants to reach a bigger audience. That said, though, even the best programmatic tools are only as effective as the people controlling them, so before you get ahead of yourself, consider these 4 crucial tips to ensure your success. Don't forget the creative component. No matter how well targeted your ads are or how smart your campaign is in terms of exposure, if you haven't invested in the creative aspect, then those ads are going to fall flat. Design your ads well and test to see which designs work best. Likewise, think about your brand identity and how you can strengthen this even through ads that don't get clicked. Choose a programmatic partner who can help you with this aspect. Consider audience and context. Before choosing which publishers to work with, you need to look at the audience they are attracting as well as the context. The ideal partner will be a site that writes about topics related to yours and targets the precise same demographic you are. In some cases, though, you won't be able to find both, and thus you will need to select publishers that provide the best balance. And don't be tempted to ignore context in these situations, because studies show that the same person is far more likely to click on an ad for golf clubs when they are on a golfing website compared with a news site. More to the point, someone who wants a wedding dress is only going to want that wedding dress during a particular time in their life, and this really demonstrates the importance of context. Be willing to spend to begin with. The beauty of programmatic advertising is that you can directly manage your spending in real time to ensure you get the maximum exposure whatever your budget. However, it is highly recommended that you start out with a higher spending limit than you intend to continue with, as this will enable you to more quickly identify what works and what doesn't. Remember, you want more data, and that means you want more clicks. As you tweak your campaign in response to stats and ROI, you will get closer and closer to the optimum setup, but if you don't spend the money up front, then you won't be able to tell if your campaign is working because you won't win enough bids. Spend a little up front, and you'll save money in the long run once you settle into your groove. Make sure your ads fit in. The downside of any automated advertising campaign is that you can lose that personal touch. The benefits that come from working with a publisher to develop an advertising campaign that matches the tone and appearance of their overall site and that they will help to promote throughout their content. Unfortunately, native advertising is difficult to scale, which is why so many automatic platforms are popular. To be successful with programmatic advertising, this is something you need to consider. Your ad is targeting the right people, on the right devices in the right context. But is it the right fit for the job? This ad needs to look like a native ad in the same way that a banner ad would. Creating ads that will blend into a number of environments is one way to do this. Another is to choose a tool that allows you to select the brands you want to work with, and then to choose those that are already closely aligned with your own goals and style.